guys, my name is Lara and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my Invisalign experience. I recently completed 2 years of doing Invisalign, so I'm going to be talking about what my experience was like, the reason why I got Invisalign, and a couple things that I wish I knew before I did the whole Invisalign process. I know it's been a minute, or more like a year since I've posted on this channel, but I promise I do plan on being a bit more active on here. So I'll talk about first why I got Invisalign. So growing up, I had really straight teeth. I was super lucky. I never needed braces or anything like that. But I did have this thing where my baby canine tooth on this side here, it never fell out and it was like never loose, and I was like, that's kind of weird, maybe there's no adult tooth. But then as I started in my first year of university when I was 18, I started noticing that the adult tooth was starting to come through, but it was starting to come through on top like of the gum, on top of where the baby tooth was. Basically the adult tooth was growing above the gum and it wasn't able to push on the baby tooth to actually make it fall out. And at first it didn't really bother me. I was like, okay, whatever, it's just like a little bit of tooth showing. You couldn't even see it. As the years progressed and as I was going through university and stuff, the adult tooth kept coming out more and more and more. And as it kept coming out more and more and more, I kept getting more self-conscious about it, especially like when I laughed or if I smiled really big, because I don't know, it didn't look nice, it didn't look aesthetically pleasing. And I'm gonna show you. So basically, this is what my mouth looked like when it was just the baby tooth. So you can notice the tooth is like slightly a bit smaller than just the rest of the teeth, but it's not a big deal. But here's a photo of when that adult tooth started coming in above the baby tooth. And here's a couple more photos kind of as it progressed. By the end of my university, the adult tooth that was growing on top was pretty far out, and like I said, it just made me like super self-conscious. I did not like smiling. Like I would always try to angle a certain way. Like I would always angle this way so that if I would smile, you wouldn't see that tooth, or I just wouldn't smile with my teeth at all. Or like I said, like when I laughed and stuff like that, I would really make sure to like cover my mouth so that no one else could see it, because I was just like so embarrassed about it. I knew that something had to get done about it. So finally, like when I started working full time, as soon as my insurance kicked in at work, oh my God, I was so excited. I was like, I am making this appointment. I am going to start whatever treatment it is to fix this tooth so I can finally confidently smile again. I went to go see my dentist. My dentist is also an orthodontist, so I went to go see her to get my treatment done. And she gave me the option of either doing traditional braces or Invisalign. And at that point, I did see a little bit here and there about Invisalign, but I wasn't like 100% sure how it worked or what it was. But I did really like the idea that I wouldn't have like the metal wires and the metal brackets on my teeth, and that it would allow me more flexibility, you know, with eating, and I wouldn't have to like, you know, restrict myself. So when I did my initial consultation, my orthodontist said that the treatment could take a year and maybe even a bit less if I did the traditional braces route. But like I said, I really just like the idea how it's a bit more seamless. It's a bit more invisible. That's why they call it Invisalign. So I ended up going with Invisalign, and my total cost for the treatment costed me $6,500 Canadian. My insurance did cover a portion of that, so I was very lucky and very grateful about that. Starting the actual Invisalign treatment. So after I did the consultation, basically I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this. How do we get started? So she first starts, or your orthodontist would first start by scanning your teeth, which then based on what your desired results are or what you're trying to fix, they'll basically on their computer fix the way that like your teeth are currently, and they'll like position in the way that they ideally want them to be. When they send it to Invisalign, it takes about a month for it to come back for you to actually like physically receive the trays again. I officially started my treatment in December 2018. So the day that I went in to go pick up the trays, I was so excited. I was like, yes, this issue that has bugging me for years, that has made me feel so insecure, is finally going to get fixed. Like I'm on the road to better things, to like a better smile. But like I said, again, so the adult tooth was growing on the top of the gum. I still had that baby tooth in my mouth. So obviously the baby tooth couldn't stay, because the idea of my Invisalign was that it was gonna pull down that adult tooth and put it in position. They had to rip out that baby tooth, and they numbed it so it didn't hurt at first, and I was like, whatever, it's part of the process. But I did have a huge hole in my mouth. So like right here, there was no tooth and my adult tooth was growing on top here. I knew like there's gonna be a period of time where I was gonna have a huge hole in my mouth and it was gonna be something that I was a bit self-conscious about. But again, I was like, just trust the process. Anyway, so that happened. They ripped out the tooth. I started wearing my first trays. I met my mom right after my orthodontic appointment for lunch. I was really scared to take them out, so I ate with them in, which is also a huge no-no. And then after I ate with them in, I realized maybe I shouldn't have done that. I need to take them out and clean them. So I took them out, cleaned them, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna put them back in. So 3 hours passed since I was at my orthodontist office, and the numbing cream where they just ripped out the tooth, obviously it started wearing off. So putting back my tray was the most painful experience ever because they just ripped out the tooth. So I have literally a raw hole in my mouth. And the way that the tray was designed, it was designed so that there was plastic putting pressure on that hole, and then the tooth that was on top that they had to drag down, there was a little cap on it as well. I just started crying and crying because I was like, there's no way I can get it back on without really hurting myself. This is so painful. Anyways, I ended up finding a solution. I ended up taking a towel and basically by putting a little bit of pressure on the trays with my towel, I was able to plop it back in. And I kind of had to do that for a week until the hole started healing. So that was the beginning of my whole Invisalign process, and I did have that hole in my mouth for a few months. I'm gonna insert some pictures here and show you what my mouth looked like at the beginning of the treatment. I actually wish I saved a lot more photos, but I didn't because again, I felt so insecure with that hole in my mouth and I hated just seeing pictures with me with that hole. So I honestly just ended up deleting most of them, which is too bad because I think it would have been useful for this video right now. When December 2019 hit, I wasn't happy with my smile. I found that the adult tooth that was supposed to get brought down was still very much not in the right position yet. And I was like, I'm really not happy with it. I feel like we could do more. So my orthodontist was like, okay, that's fine, no problem. We're gonna start refinements. And basically what refinements are is that it's additional trays on top of your initial treatment. So like I said, the initial treatment, she thought it was gonna be a year long. So additional trays were basically to fix things that you weren't happy with. And the great thing with Invisalign is that you can have as many refinement trays as you want. After I finished my first set of refinements, I was not happy with how that one tooth was positioned again. I still thought it was not in place and it was popping out too much. So I ended up going through basically a whole year of refinements, and that's because there were some issues, for example, because that canine tooth is such a big tooth, it was trying to squeeze between the two teeth and there wasn't enough space. So we had to kind of shave around it. And because the way my orthodontist kind of gave me the trays, the checkups weren't as frequent, so she wouldn't notice that there was actually no space for the tooth to go. We tried different things, even putting an anchor on the canine tooth and then me having to wear elastics to try to drag it down a bit so that I wouldn't have to get more refinement trays because it takes a month to order them. That whole process didn't work. But to say the least, my whole Invisalign process, at first I thought it started great. I was like, Invisalign is the best thing ever. I couldn't recommend it enough, but towards the end, I just started getting really frustrated and really over it. So I officially finished my treatment in January of 2020. So just a bit over 2 years to do the whole thing. And I would say I'm 95-98% happy with my smile. It's kind of tough because that canine tooth that we brought down, it's a totally different shape than the other canine tooth. So I find that my smile isn't symmetrical. It's just because the tooth is a totally different shape, so it kind of throws things off. So I'm just gonna get a quick zoom in to show you what my teeth look like right now. So they're super straight, they're great, but like I said, the two canines, they're slightly different shapes. And again, that's something that I could probably get fixed if I did bonding. But at this point, I'm just happy with the way it is. So some things that I wish that I knew before getting Invisalign is that it's probably gonna be a longer process than what your orthodontist tells you, which is anticipated, but I do know if I went the traditional braces route that I probably would have done within a year and everything would have been said and done and I wouldn't have to stress about all this going back and forth and all these different refinement trays. But again, I did have that liberty to eat what I want and to take them out whenever I wanted. You also have to wear Invisalign, or they recommend that you wear it 22 hours a day, which to be completely honest, I did not wear them that frequent, ever. Don't tell my orthodontist that, but you can feel whenever you switch your trays from week to week. Again, it depends on what your orthodontist prescribes you, but for me, I was switching up my trays every 7 days. And you can see if you're not wearing them long enough, then your teeth don't track in the trays. And my teeth were tracking fine, but the main issue, like I said, was just there wasn't enough space for that tooth to go in, that canine tooth to go in between my 2 other teeth. Some other things that I wish I knew is that I wish I also researched more on different orthodontists. So like I said, I went with my dentist who also is an orthodontist and does the Invisalign treatment, but I think it would have been really good of me to also go visit a few other orthodontist offices and kind of get a vibe of what they think or how long they think the treatment would be for them, or even just like for pricing. Another thing that I wish I knew is that you're gonna be spending a lot of time back and forth within your orthodontist office, especially if you're doing refinements. What else? Another thing that I wish I knew about Invisalign is that it is definitely a bit of a painful process. Again, I don't really know what it's like to have braces, but your teeth definitely do feel sensitive for the first 2 to 3 days of when you're putting in new trays. So like I said, I would switch out my trays every week. So the first 2-3 days, my teeth were definitely sensitive. Like I kind of avoided eating hard foods because biting into them, you could definitely feel it, especially when you first take your trays out. But at least you know that if your teeth are sore, that the whole thing is working, right? Another thing that I wish I knew about Invisalign is that obviously it's not 100% invisible. It's definitely better than the traditional metal brackets, but you can definitely still tell when someone is wearing their Invisalign, especially if your teeth do have to do a lot of shifting. Your orthodontist is gonna apply these things called buttons, which are these pieces that kind of, they blend in with your teeth, but they definitely do pop up. And then your trays basically attach to those pieces so that your teeth can move where they need to go. So Invisalign is definitely not 100% invisible. You can tell when someone has it. And I would say like probably the worst thing too is like when you wear Invisalign, you definitely get a lisp. Like for me, I know that throughout the whole 2 years of doing Invisalign, I was never able to get rid of it whenever I wore it. It was always kind of there. I don't know if other people could tell, but I was definitely 100% able to tell I had a lisp. But yeah, I think that's about all of the things that I wish I knew. Overall, I would give my Invisalign experience maybe like an 8 out of 10. In the end, I'm pretty happy with the results, but it was definitely a pain in the butt. I'm not going to lie. That I'm only 95% happy with my smile. Yes, I probably could have done another refinement set to get to that 100%. But after 2 years, I was just so over it that I'm like, I'm happy with where it's at. So basically once the treatment ended, I got wires in place behind my teeth. So I have wires on the top and the bottom teeth, and I have to wear a retainer. Well, I'm supposed to be wearing it 24 hours for the next 6 months. Again, not really doing that, but I am wearing it every night. But my orthodontist did say, yeah, so you're supposed to wear the retainer 24 hours for the first 6 months. And then after 6 months, every night. And then after a year, you only need to pop it in the odd time here and there if you feel like your teeth are shifting. That's the one thing which I found really cool about Invisalign is that your teeth can move so fast in your mouth. And it's just so crazy how like 2 pieces of plastic in your mouth can just like push and move your teeth like that. Because even though I was wearing my trays for only a week, I found that within 4 days, I could see my teeth shifting. So here are some photos of what my teeth look like now. Here's the before and after. I wish I had the actual photos from my orthodontist, but as you can see, my smile was definitely brought out a bit. It's wider, my teeth are straight. Like I said, overall, I'm pretty happy with the results. I feel like now I can smile really confidently, and that's something that I've always wanted like for the past 6 years. So the fact that I can do that and just like smile or like laugh and not feel the need to cover my mouth, I'm just like so happy about that. So I think that's about it that I have to say about my Invisalign journey. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer them in the comment box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and be on the lookout for more videos because they're coming. Anyways, I hope you guys all have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye.